Another day to take a look at happenings in and around Nigeria on today's edition of the Polity on Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Good morning to you and welcome. My name is Chisom Chinedu. Over the weekend, we witnessed a lot of sadness in this part of the world. Started with the very ghastly accident that happened on Oka Road. It was a private vehicle that, according to reports, somersaulted due to overspeeding and caught fire immediately. One of the occupants, according to reports, was able to come out with some level of burns, and the other occupant, most likely the driver, didn't make it out. And according to reports, there were 2 women in that vehicle. Also, yesterday, a tractor, thankfully, there was no casualty. A tractor on 33 axis at St. Christopher Junction, precisely. I don't know how it happened. It just veered into a street and crashed into, some of these shops that you find at junctions made of containers, batchers, and crashed into all of them, about 3 or 4 of them. And thankfully, it was between 8 and 9 in the morning. And so the occupants, the people who use those shops, were not yet out for their daily businesses. Thankfully, there was no casualty. It would have been a mess because the vehicle is of a very, very heavy nature. And also, Franklin was just telling me about what happened in Oka. I'll leave you to actually do the expose on that. He's here with me, Franklin Ebuka. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Chisholm. Good morning to everybody listening to us. Of course, he talked about what happened in Oka. That was yesterday. Yesterday was the demolition of a guest house known as Airtight Guest House, which is located at Y Junction in Obun, Oka. If you know Oka very well, you know that Y Junction is a very popular place. And from what we gathered, operatives of Agane Chamber was, they were at that very guest house on Saturday, where they allegedly made some discoveries. According to them, they were able to uncover that facility was being used for prostitution. They also uncovered a gun and also recovered some, cache of illicit drugs like tramadol, rofinol, and what have you not. And we gathered that they arrested the manager of that very guest house, likewise the storekeeper, the barman, and what have you not. So based on the provisions of the Anambra State Homeland Security Law, the operative returned on Sunday and demolished that very structure. In fact, this very morning, there is a video trending where there seems to be an altercation between the Special Advisor to the Governor on Community Security, Ken Makai, and the owner of that very guest house. So I don't know how this is going to end, whether the man is going to file a case in court to challenge the demolition of that very structure. If you are going to reference that very Anambra State Homeland Security Law, you will know that there is a provision there that if your house was discovered to be used for illicit activities, that government has the right to demolish that very structure. So that's what happened in Obono yesterday. So with time, we're going to see how the owner takes this, whether he's going to challenge or not. I talked about the accident that happened at Oka Road. That was on Saturday. It was quite a sad one, and that tells you the story of the uncertainty of life. Just imagine two persons who woke up in the morning and were headed to somewhere. All of a sudden, one person, died in an accident, because from what we gathered, the vehicle stumbled and then caught fire. One person was rescued, while the person was burned beyond recognition. And that brings us to to cases of accident that were recorded in Anambra between Thursday and Saturday. A handful of them, and of course we can't stop talking about the need for us to be cautious while we're on the road. I keep on saying that once you're on the road, you should know that you are not just the only one on the road. As you are driving for yourself, you're also driving for others, because there are plenty of things on the road that you cannot fathom. So we keep on emphasizing that while you drive on the road, please ensure that you are driving at a controlled speed. And the FRC will tell you that it's good to adopt what they call defensive driving. And what that means is that there's a way you'll be driving at a controlled speed. If there's any accident, the impact is going to be minimal. Then let me also use this very opportunity to talk about the desilting of gutters going on now in Onitsha, especially at Oka Road. I can recall that on this platform some days ago I talked about the need for the silting to happen along Oka Road, and I've seen that actions are being taken in that very respect. Quite commendable. But one thing is still left. Those rubbish, debris that are being brought up from the gutters, they are still kept by the roadside. So if any rain falls now, they will all go back to that same gutter. So we are asking that while you desilt, please ensure that the rubbish is evacuated so that we'll be able to bring this to a reasonable conclusion. Then on a final note, I saw what happened in Abuja at the National Mosque, where it was the burial of the mother of former governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai. And I saw how people congregated to share in the grief of El-Rufai. And guess what? I saw the governor of Kaduna State. He was there. I saw President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He was there. I saw Peter Obi. He was there. I saw Atiku Abubakar. In fact, mentioned the who's in the country. When we talk about politics, they were all there. Talk about the governor of former governor of Kano State, Ganduje. He was there, and that made me to wonder what politics is all about, because I saw a congregation of supposed enemies and friends who came to share in the grief of El-Rufai. I can't forget that time that El-Rufai was against Peter Obi, where he said that when he came to Anambra for gubernatorial election, that he was locked up in a house. He was stopped from moving around. I can't forget that attack. But today, they're in the same ship, trying to sail to where God knows when. And then we saw that congregation. Then Mr. President, who happens to be the man who El-Rufai has been attacking, saying that he has not been doing anything. And the government that he leads is prosecuting El-Rufai on different counts. Then talk about the Kaduna governor, who is also prosecuting El-Rufai on alleged financial malfeasance in that very state. So I was just watching what happened there, and I was asking myself, if I was in the shoe of any of them, how would I go to El-Rufai and say, take heart for the loss that you suffered? So I don't know whether it was what that politics is all about. Other Putaragi and Yabele Alegi. But once you are on a jugular, we also hold you on jugular.
It's actually very, I'd say, dramatic. When I saw that, I was like, what exactly is happening here? How would they have the face to actually commiserate with him? But, it is what it is. Trust politicians at your own risk. Dr. Tony Olisambeki is here, definitely going to be making sense of all of the happenings. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning to you, Chisam Kennedy. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, the good people of Southeast. Good morning, in the Anambra. Good morning, in the Onitsha Donido. Good morning, in Dosumo. Good morning, in the Afia, in the Olwaka, in the Nkuzi, in the Oluoyibo. Everyone under the reach of our voice. Those of you who have been doing exceedingly well, and we really appreciate you for that. In different sectors, in different fields. But at the same time, we'll also condemn those who have not been doing well. And we've been saying that from time to time. We know very well the economy is very tight. And we know things are difficult. We know the times are hard. But at the same time, you must be productive. And without being productive, you will now look for how to cut corners. And in the way to cut corners, you will land yourself into trouble. You must find a way to be productive at all times. Even if it is very little, I must preach this. And we think you, our listeners, it's not been easy. To listen is also a virtue. When we say that for you to do the right thing is also a virtue, to listen is not even easy. But then you must listen attentively. You must be able to distill everything. You don't just select the one you want to hear and hop on the ones that was also said to balance the other one, but you didn't say the balancing. You pick the other one because we are here to ensure balancing. That's one good things about us. One of the principles of journalism is balancing and ensuring that every side is represented. We want to thank everyone for your thoughts, and then we must also do this. We thank God Almighty for His grace, for His love, for His kindness, for all He has been doing for us, for His mercies. Yesterday was Palm Sunday. I didn't know how Chisholm and Franklin, I didn't know how they celebrate their own Palm Sunday, but then yesterday I was with Palm shouting Hosanna in the highest.
Your
Blessed
house or in the church?
Sorry, in the church.
In the church.
Yes.
Tony, in the church.
Hosanna in the highest.
Picture proof.
Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest. Yesterday, many people don't understand the meaning of Palm Sunday. It was the very day the sacrament of Eucharist was consecrated. And then it was more like Passover. And then the readings, they were very touching. And then the narration and everything said. The crucifixion. And look at what happened sometime in Israel, where Israeli police prevented a cardinal from accessing a sepulchre. And it was condemned by Vatican, condemned by France, condemned by Italy. Many nations have condemned Israeli police barring worshippers from accessing a sepulchre. It's a holy tomb anyway. But that's by the way, it happened yesterday. So Palm Sunday was symbolic. And remember, a week after Palm Sunday is Easter. And this Holy Week, how holy are you going to be this week? Chisom, how holy are you going to be?
Why are you always
I'm so much particular about you.
Why are you?
Because you said you are worldly.
So is it after Holy Week what happens? Is it to be holy for the Holy Week?
You give your life to Christ for Holy Week, and after Holy Week you collect.
No.
A friend of mine once told me that once we get into Lent, she stopped taking alcohol, and after Lent she goes back. I say, you are not serious in life at all.
Nothing has changed. You simply can't. But in any case, this Holy Week, and you know what that means. Holy Week, we prepare ourselves for the Easter. And there will be Holy Thursday, Monday, Thursday, and then after Monday, Thursday, talk about Good Friday. And remember, without Good Friday, you will never have Easter. Easter is the reason the salvation of mankind was instituted. You're welcome.
All right, then let's go tell you what the front pages of the paper say. From there, we dig into recent developments, especially in the political circle. And so, on the front page, we have the Daily Sun, by the way, Vanguard, The Punch, and The Guardian. And starting up with the front page of the Daily Sun newspaper, Presidency ADC fight over birthday message, political space narrowing, hardship, insecurity worsened, says opposition party. Your message in bad taste, Presidency. Find that on page 26. APC governors consolidate grip on party machinery on page 6. Party may settle for consensus arrangements at next month's primaries. PDP Abdurrahman Anyang others retain offices as Wike bloc holds convention amid legal battles on page 6. We must resist one-party rule. Benga Hashimi speaking on page 27. 74th birthday, Tinubu reaffirms commitment to national prosperity on page 26. Donates salaries to new military personnel welfare fund. Interesting times. Palm Sunday, Khan tasks leaders on empathy. Economic relief urges Nigerians not to lose hope on page 6.
Well, let me ask you, how much does the president earn in Nigeria? If you're going to compare it with the security vote that goes in, because Each time you get to hear about somebody donating his salary, is it the base salary or with the allowances? Perhaps they might make us clear on this so that we now know what is involved in this. But all the same, of course, the gesture is also a good one. We need to commend that. And let's get over to the headlines on Vanguard newspaper. The big story on page 11 says, as deadline expires tomorrow, bank recapitalization raises 4.6 trillion naira. Sparks sectoral battle for allocation. It has some riders. Shareholders expect delayed returns. Urge cautious rail sector for cost development. CPPE wants banks to channel funds to SMEs. Rail sector to drive economic impact. On page 9, we have this one that says, at 74, nation's mood forced me to observe low-key birthday. The story is on page 9 of Vanguard newspaper. 2027, how Kwankwaso's defection to ADC will shape polls. The story is on page 5 of Vanguard. And we have some riders. Obi Kwankwaso's ticket mauled. Ex-Kano governor resigns from NMPP. We are excited. Move will strengthen opposition ADC. NMPP react. ADC working to adopt consensus option for 2027 presidential candidate. Polity Abdullahi. He's the spokesperson of the ADC. Then you see the picture story there with a title that says President Bola Tinubu's 74th birthday. Over to other headlines. PDP convention, Wike to defectors. We have taken back PDP on page 46. We must resist one party rule. Benga Hashim insists. The story is on page 48. I don't know whether he was part of the supposed convention that held yesterday, because Benga Hashim is actually gunning for the presidential ticket of the PDP. He's not looking back anymore. Another headline says Atiku, Ribadu, Obi, Amechi lead dignitaries to burial of El-Rufai's mother as Northern Governors Kano Emir mourn. And the last story on the front page says Palm Sunday, Khan urges leaders to ease hardship. That story is on page 9 of Vanguard newspaper.
All right, then, from the Vanguard newspaper, let's tell you what the front page of the Punch says. Governor snubbed 98 billion naira UBEC fund despite education crisis. On page 2, we've been having this conversation. This is the one they have to bring the counterpart funding for, right, Franklin, if I'm not mistaken, to have it released to them.
The UBEC fund.
Yes, they have to bring they have to give in something to help this release.
Exactly.
And look at the crisis in the education sector. Look at the fact that so many schools need urgent rehabilitation. I just don't know what's wrong with so many of our leaders busy chasing legacy projects, things that would have their names barely written on them, when the little things, just leaving small things to chase big things, and the little things are the things that actually spoil things.
You know, the thing there is that some of these very governors, because they cannot meet up with the transparency requirement of UBEC funding, they stay away from it, because it's not just for you to provide the counterpart funding. You need to even give details of how you spend the previous ones, then give a breakdown of how you intend to spend the one you're going to get, what you're going to put into, and what have you. So those details required for transparency, many of them might not be able to meet that, and that's why we see them shying away from that UBEC funding that ordinarily they could access and use it to provide funding for basic education.
Okay, PDP convention, Wike Block installs new NWC in Abuja. On page 2, FCT Minister, Bauchi Governor Saraki Bazu urged reconciliation, unity amid internal party tensions. Tinubu at 74, President donates salaries to wounded soldiers and families. On page 8, 2027, Kwankwaso joins ADC, sparks a B alliance talk. Page 22, political titans, Dangote attends a Rufai mother's burial. On page 15 or 16 now, US cuts Nigerian crude imports by nearly 50%. On page 44.
Okay, so let's see the headlines we have on the Guardian newspaper. The big story on page 6 says ADC settles for consensus as PDP scouts for presidential candidates. Palm Sunday, Pope seals for global peace as Khan seeks relief for Nigerians. On page 4. Header, CSOs demand full disclosure of OPL 245 deal. On page 7. Sarah plays EBAS over alleged 302 billion naira FARC expenditure in River State. on page 7. Senate leader says National Assembly on track towards state police creation on page 4. Terrorists are not prodigal sons, says Bishop at COAS. Others relentless onslaught on page 8. Discordant tunes great APC convention as 2027 rivalries begin on page 3. I think it's in Anambra State where some people who contested for a position have gone to court saying that they were prevented from taking part in the Congress. ASU lost 5 of 10 years to strike, says FG on page 3. Concerns as hot money continues to outstrip patient capital inflow. That story can be found on page 16 of the Guardian newspaper. And with that, we come to an end with the headlines on the front pages of paper this morning.
All right, and before we proceed, just to remind you that we are live on Facebook. Udala Radio 104.7 FM is our handle. Drop your comments right under our video, and also don't forget to like and share the page. And of course, we are starting off now with some of the developments. And so we are starting with the accidents that happened in Anambra over the weekend, Tony. We did already brush by on some of these matters. But one question in the minds of a lot of people would be, why are we having so much accidents? I mean, during festive periods, especially the Yuletide, we find people being reckless, and we keep hammering on it here. Please be less reckless. This target you're trying to meet, you could lose your life in a bid too. And here we are. I doubt people are actually in a race to meet targets here. But over the weekend, it was scary. Okay, it was, I mean, you get on the road and you see how some persons you're driving and you're asking yourself, are these people on a bargain with death? Are they like asking death, okay, hold on, they are racing to death? Because I really don't get it. How do we curb this madness on our roads? We have road traffic officials on the road, ATMA for instance. You have them on the road more often than not. And sometimes they just step aside and let the madness reign suzerain.
Well, we know very well that there are different reasons why we have road crashes. There are different reasons, and we know very well that one of the reasons, or the main cause of road crashes we've seen over time, has to do with overspeeding. That's the main cause. We know there are other reasons. We can talk about bad road, potholes, poor accelerators of the vehicle, like tire, braking, or the braking system, and other things. We know very well that most of the things we use in this country, they are either second-hand, what we call tokumbo. And if you're using anything tokumbo, there are times people will try tokumbo to be much more better than anything new. But it's a case of where the new version of it was produced. We know that these days our importers go and give a low standard specification for some production and manufacturing of some things they import to make more gain, to optimize profit. We know of that for sure. And they usually go to China, where that whatever specification you place, they will produce it for you. If you place a high specification, they will produce it for you. But for a country like US, individual has no power to go to a foreign country and place specification, because the country its own has a specification, because whatever you place, it cannot be brought into the country. You cannot bring low standard products into either United States of America, UK, Germany. Most of these countries, they don't joke with it. So whatever you are bringing into their country must be in accordance with the specification for that very particular product. Here we have something similar, but institutions don't work. That's why you see some tires being imported. Hayeks, before you know it, 2 months, the thing will burst on the highway. But there are countries where things like this, even the one we call second hand, these are ones by the country's regulation, you cannot continue to use it. For the fact you have used it for first 1 year, it's still good, but the country's regulation says you must change it. And there are people always out either through technology to checkmate it. Let me come down to the basic, what happened along Oka Road. That was on Saturday. We saw a vehicle that crashed at a particular wall, and before you know it, fire started, and we are told that that vehicle was carrying a man and the wife. Probably the man was the one driving, but by the time rescuers came to that direction to rescue the man and the wife, they started with the wife, but by the time they are done with the wife to go for the man was burnt. I don't know if the man was burnt beyond recognition. And people were asking question, what could have caused that road crash? But everybody was of the view that the man was speeding, because that period, that Saturday was sanitation. The roads were so empty. The roads were somehow empty. It afforded the man the opportunity to overspeed, either to get to where he was actually going. Just like I said, our brake system, you cannot predict them. The braking system in vehicles, unpredictable. Even when you think you have the brake, surprisingly, you may mash it, you may not catch it. You don't even know where it may, or if hydraulic is leaking in one of its channels, to the point that you've lost it. The need for you to be conservative at all times. You don't overspeed. Most times, if I'm flying highway, I see people pedaling down their throttle 120, 140 kilometer per hour. I keep asking, is this person racing to heaven? Because for you to apply such speed, you must be racing to be in heaven. And if anything happens along the line, you will automatically lose control. If an animal like a goat passes and you are about to see if you can avoid crashing the goat, before you know it, you may end up being in the gutter, and that's really the end. The need for us to stop overspeeding is one of the main reasons we have road crashes. The tire you are using, you are not the one that manufactured it. Many of us don't even know the expiring date of our tires. These things expire. Even the brake system we are using, how many times have you changed your brake components? And some of these brake components, they are important, they are done with low specification. You cannot bank on some of these things. It's unfortunate. All we can say is, may the soul of the man who died rest in peace. And for us who are alive, we must take note. We know accident is an accident.
It was a woman, according to reports.
There was a woman that died, but for whatever reason, whoever that died, may the soul of the person, may her soul rest in peace. But the truth is, I wanted to see that incident, but on Saturday, I was actually heading somewhere to the point that I even forgot to stop by to see the incident myself. But I got the news while we were on crossfire, before the crossfire this started. The point is, we are not the makers of some of the things we consume, and we don't know the extent. We don't even know the expiry date of some of these things. We don't even know how these things were put together by those who put them together. You cannot bank on anything, even if you think you have a sound car, unless those who are riding a brand new car. Because I was discussing with one of my friends, and I told a friend, we were on the road before I could even look around. I didn't see you again.
That's overspeeding. The car is brand new.
The person was telling me I'm driving a brand new car.
The person was overspeeding. Yes. I like to think that, give me a second, Franklin, just like you pointed out, a lot of things can actually be prevented with speed control.
Exactly.
Do you get me? Are you telling me that you're riding a brand new car, if the road was bad, you would still just, swim the potholes like no man's... No. Once we see that the road is free and minimal potholes or no potholes, we start sometimes, especially if your glasses are up, your AC is on, and you're like maybe playing songs that you like, you tend to forget yourself. And the point is, we need to actually remember that we are not just a danger to ourselves, we're a danger to other road users. Have you been on the wheels and someone's bad driving would almost cost you something? It happens over and over and over again. So the focal point would be, can we be better drivers in this part of the world? Can we drive responsibly? Responsible driving doesn't matter if you are driving a brand new car, if you're driving a Tokimbo. If you are driving responsibly, so many eventualities can be controlled.
That's it. That's it. Because I don't know, most times we're in a haste, we're in a hurry. Honestly speaking, if you try public transport, those people drive like mad people. no sense of decorum, and the way they do their things, they stop anywhere, big passenger anywhere, zoom off anywhere, lack of control. And for me, can we also keep pointing that these things are, what do you call it? They are caused by our leaders, even when we do ourselves. But the key thing is, if you reduce the speed, you will be in control of a lot of things.
Simple.
And even if there is any eventuality, the damage will be minimal.
Okay,
Thank you.
So let me come in here because each time I see accident scene or I get a report about accident, many things run in my mind, and I begin to relate with some experiences I've had on the road. And each time I do this analysis, I come to this conclusion that most of the accidents we do have on our roads, boil down to our mindset and what we have called our way of life. Now, we live in a part of the world whereby anybody can get on the road, whether you can drive or you cannot drive, as long as you can move the vehicle, as long as you can put the key in the ignition, change the gear. And these days, people can drive. You have automatic vehicles, anybody can drive it. The person gets on the road, no certification, whether you have license or not. Once you can move vehicle, you can drive on the road. Then the issue of the mindset is whereby you see our people whereby they feel that cars are meant to be enjoyed, and as such, once you're on the road, as much as you can accelerate, do that. Somebody will tell you, "Oh, I'm driving V6, V8, so how do you expect me to be crawling?" This is the mindset. And I don't know if you have seen people on the road. Let's say you see somebody who is driving maybe Land Cruiser, and somebody riding keke passes him. All of a sudden, he picks up the speed, and you're asking me why. You're asking you how can keke overtake me on the road? And before you know it, he begins to speed. That's the kind of mindset we have seen in this part of the world, whereby people think that for the fact I'm driving a very big vehicle, it's meant to be enjoyed. And you only enjoy vehicle when you are speeding. Now, so that's what I see these very motorists. Somebody is on an interstate road, or you are on a street road, whereby you are expected to be driving maybe 50 km per hour, and the person is doing 100.
People that are not okay.
So I keep on asking,
need mental check.
How do we get on the mindset of our people so that they begin to understand that motor be a camera? No matter how good you think the car is, like you said, the engine can break down, the tire can burst, a part of the vehicle can stop functioning. There's a way you can even drive the vehicle might even stumble and lead to death. Is there anything we can do to change our mindset about the way we drive? If you hear stories from our people who used to drive here in Nigeria, okay, I used to have a friend who was here. In fact, here in Nigeria, we used to call her commando. The way she drives, if she carries for vehicle, she has this confidence that nothing can happen to her, and she was doing it. Then guess what? When she got to Canada, she not drive for one day, and she finished her driving school and passed all the certification because she was able to drive, and she got her first certification to drive on certain caliber of roads, not all of them. But in our own case, once we can match the brake, everybody's on the road. So is there anything we can do to the mindset, to change our mindset about the way we drive and the way a vehicle is meant to be enjoyed?
If we talk about mindset, I keep saying it. One thing about people, especially those in this part of the world, is that whatever they have started doing, it's difficult to stop it unless institutions work. If you want to start changing the mindset and start preaching, definitely do sensitization, do campaigns, and then let people know the dangers associated with this. But it will not end at this sensitization, trying to preach and prick their mindset to change. You must also do institutional enforcement. Over there, where I'm coming from, people are arrested for drinking and driving. That's what we call alcohol inhaler. Once it is being put in your mouth, it will detect if you are under the influence of alcohol or not. So the issue is that you cannot drink and be on steering. Here, look at the sachet bitters.
The last time I was knocked into a gutter at DMGS here, the driver came down and could barely stand. He was reeking of alcohol.
Let me put it in this way. 90% of commercial transporters, those who drive either keke, drive shuttle buses, drive interstate buses, or even drive big luxurious buses for long distance travel. Good number of them, the first thing they do in the morning is to go and take shepe. These days, they have baptized the shepe as bitters. They take as many as possible. That is why NAFDAC is so much concerned to ensure that it bans production of these bitters in how many ml, 50 ml, 100 ml, and things like that. It happens here. It cannot happen in the same country. And these people will be the one that will take people who have prayed in the morning, ask God for protection and ask God to lead them to where they are going. People who have, for one reason or the other, they are not indulgent in this kind of lifestyle. For only a reckless man who is as useless as you may even think and imagine to either ferry them and dump them inside the gutter, because one man decided to be useless and to also useless the lives of other people he's carrying. That is abnormal. That's why institutions must come in. If you ask the road safety or the traffic agencies, they are so much concerned in collecting money from these people. They will leave the big work and go after those. In fact, they may even put it to you, you drank even when you did not even drink, just to extort from you. It is all about extortion. That's what we have. I have been so much saddened and, in fact, be overlabored with the reports I've been having, especially from Delta State Police Command and then Anti-Court Enugu. I saw the viral videos. We are told the one of the other states, the former police spokesperson, according to the video, raided a particular restaurant, fast food, in El Saba, and on that they arrested people indiscriminately. But why they were doing that, the owner of the restaurant had a camera that showed when they came in and when they were taking people out. But the news we are hearing was that they brutalized people, they tormented them, they tortured them, and even put it to them that they were drug addicts. They sell illicit drugs, they sell all manner of drugs. They put it to them. And where they were put in a very small cell, and many of them slept on the corridors to that very cell. And they allowed nobody to visit them, seize their phones. I asked myself, what kind of country are we? Is that how to do raid? Because raid is driven by intelligence. And in all of this, I was still waiting to see the drugs that they were able to take from that spot. They have not displayed the drugs. But where we are told that these people started belling themselves with all kinds of different amounts. They raided, they tortured people, and then who gave the police the mindset that it can inflict torture on people just for the fact that you are doing your work? There's no law. The last I checked, there's no law that supports torturing, and we have anti-torturing law in this country. When I say institutions don't work, this is a clear case where institutions are flat. And tomorrow you preach people to trust police, that police is your friend. How can they be your friend when you do indiscriminate and unintelligent driven raid? Because raids are driven by intelligence. You must, each time you conduct raid, you see those articles, those banned either weapons, or you must recover something from the spot. That shows that there is intelligence. Where nothing was recovered from the spot, and you put those people either in cell to drive investigation and all that, you torture them. Torturing is not part of investigation. Torturing people for them to make confessions, it is not known to our law. No law. And I listened to, because I know they are listening to us from Delta State, and when people started commenting on that, the PRO for Delta States, the one a Daffy was saying,
right here, Daffy,
he was saying, where did you see extortion? Because the headline the caption of that story bears something like police extort this and that, and then he was querying the headline, the extortion. But many people who were commenting descended on him. You are concerned about the headline. What about those that were tortured? These were people who were in that restaurant at that time of the night. Police can do their work, but doing your work must be within the ambit of law.
Now, speaking about things.
See, let me also talk about Enugu. The one that anti-caught Enugu. We are told, I saw another video where some of them confess how they were intercepted, how they were taken into custody, how some of these things happened, and how they paid certain amount of money for bail. One said, I saw some of this video randomly. Nobody sent to me. One said he paid 300,000, the other one said he paid 200,000, and at the end of the day, nothing was discovered from them. The other one said that because they saw lighter in his house, and they used the lighter to torture him. In fact, all his back gone, hands gone, because they put it to him that he's a cultist. I asked, why are things the way they are?
Now, speaking about that,
Pure extortion, an
over the weekend,
unprofessional way and manner of going about some of the things. I don't know, it's right, very, very disturbing. I keep saying this because evil triumph when the good ones keep quiet.
Over the weekend, something happened in Oka, and I'm going to play an audio. According to reports, a hotel was demolished because, according to the reports we have, it was raided. Illicit substances were found, and it was allegedly a place that was used for prostitution. And the owner had a confrontation. The name of the guest house is Airtight Guest House Samba. The owner now had a confrontation with a special advisor to Governor Soludo on community security, Mr. Ken Emakai, during the demolition of the property on Sunday. The raid happened on Saturday, and the structure was pulled down on Sunday. And when you speak about acting within the ambits of the law, I am just curious to find out, had proper investigations been carried out before this demolition happened? What one would have expected would be first a sealing off of the facility, then after investigation, we now know what the law says, probably arraignment, and then the courts can now say go ahead and do this. But that is besides the point. Let's listen to what the owner of the establishment said in this video. It's a 3-minute long audio, so let's listen. Okay. Okay.
Section 16. Section 16. No property in the state shall be used for the manufacture, use, or sale of illicit drugs. Any property used for the manufacture, sale, or use of illicit drugs in the state shall be forfeited to the state government. Anything in wherever. Anything over the governor. I don't mind. Listen. Listen. This is the law. This is the law of and from the time this law was signed into law in January 2025, and from that time, my office, Ministry of Information, all of us will be making announcements, making publicity. Then telling every landlord, one, in this law, I will still show you. Let the law say you must ensure that you know what your tenant is doing. Now, since last year, we've been making it public that landlords and landladies should check their properties, their premises, and know, because it's possible somebody will package here and tell you, we are not doing so. It's your duty to constantly and always check that place, which I always do. And you didn't discover this, which I always do. I had my day here. They check my the premises, everything, and they follow this thing. Okay, when I'm a president, I'm for how many TV, Monday local government, I'm going to fortune in the Bammy, right? I'm going to take them a hotel. I'm going to no bar, and the guest house, every money can allow every money for one. That's how we get. I'm going to also maybe that's all these in our time, and that's how we do it. Wine, I get back. I'm wine, I get back. I've got many girls here. I've got me also what any of them did here. Thank you.
I think the situation is already clear. From what this audio is saying, the owner of the building had rented it out to another person who said he was going to be using it for as a bar and a guest house, and eventually turned it to a brothel, and the Anambra State government found out about it and demolished it. And so, Tony, questions are being asked. The person who owns the house now, bearing the brunt of what the tenant decided, because the man who took the house is more like his tenant now, has turned his property to. But as Emma Kaid rightly read, this is contained in the law. And so, make sense of it.
Well, ignorance of the law is never an excuse. We have always said it here. It's never an excuse. And honestly speaking, I can tell you boldly that the man himself was ignorant of the law. He was never in the know that such does exist.
Tony, forgive me. What if he knew? But because people have been doing stuff like that and getting away with them.
For the fact that people are doing the wrong thing and possibly get away with it, does not mean that if you get caught, you will always get away.
Maybe he's not ignorant, he simply just got caught.
Let's assume that he's ignorant. We are just giving him that benefit. We are not just saying it because we are quite sure he's ignorant. But the key thing is, if you look at the law, Section 16 of the Anambra State Homeland Security Law 2025 reads 1, subsection 1. No property in the state shall be used for the manufacture, use, or sale of illicit drugs. Subsection 2 says, any property used for the manufacture, sale, or use of illicit drugs in the state shall be forfeited to the state government. The word there is shall be forfeited. And then if you look at the forfeiture clause, it aims to deter the use of buildings, land, or other property for drug-related crimes by allowing the state to seize them upon discovery of some of these things. Well, the law also clarifies that the issue of the law also clarifies that this does not limit the governor's power under the Land Use Act to revoke or also acquire property for overriding public interest. I have always said that most of these things must be seen to be in public interest. Everything government does. The first question I ask is this: is it in the interest of the public, or in the interest of the government, or interest of the governor, or in the interest of the person who is either executing that portion of the law? Well, the fact remains that the executive arm of the government is there to execute the law. That's the fact. They are there to execute the law. That's why you call them the chief executives. When we say chief executive, we don't even know what we are saying. Their job primarily is to execute the law. Why they are doing such execution, judiciary can also interpret such execution and tell them if there is an overboard, if they have gone overboard or not. And at the same time, the legislature, they are there to make the law that the executive executes and judiciary interprets. That is the principle of separation of power. Now, the special advisor to the governor on Homeland Security, Ken Emeakai, read the law before this man. And my own concern is we are there discoveries. Drugs were discovered. And some of these drugs discovered were put out to the display of those who were watching the video and everything. And I saw a picture. The prostitutes. Of course, I've sent it to both of you. The prostitutes in question. Because the idea is like in that of the other state I was referring to. Did they make any recovery that showed that those they raided had drugs with them? Remember, police confiscated all of them, sealed up that very place, and tortured them. I asked the question. Even when we know they don't have the Homeland Security law, the Homeland Security law is for Anambra State. But I'm talking about that raid. They did not display any recoveries or discoveries they made. And that's why many are condemning it. But in this case,
I saw a woman with a box living in that video.
Apart from I saw the picture anyway, I didn't see the video. But we saw
in that particular video I just played. If you pay attention to you will see the Udogachi people, Agone Chamber people, taking a particular woman that has a box.
Let me now tell you
a travel box.
Do you know why drug is dangerous? Almost all the crime, almost all, I didn't say
drug use.
Because people who commit this crime, they are drug addicts. They use drug. Drug is number one enabler of crime. So if you tackle drug, definitely you have reduced crime. And it's unfortunate that this place, I don't know if there was another video I saw where they manufacture codeine. Is it the same airtight? They manufacture. One man from Benue was saying that they manufactured. I saw they bought it. I think somewhere. One of the videos, Odogachi operatives were questioning the man. I saw the video. The man, I saw bottles filled with codeine, tramadol. On the other part, the man was displaying it, tramadol. And he was asked if he was the owner of the business. He said he was serving his organ. And it was discovered that the man in question who was being questioned is from Benue State. But his organ is from Anambra State or a place like that. So he saw such materials and they have been doing digs. And there's a law that says if such a building, a space is used for the production, sale, manufacture of illicit drug, that house shall automatically be forfeited to the state.
Tony, let's look at this thing again so that we know whether justice was actually served.
Okay.
Because in the real sense of it, there is no doubt that there's a provision for this in Anambra Homeland Security law. It's not contestable. The provision is quite there. But the issue now is, if we can actually say that justice was served in this very case, of course, this is not the very first incident of demolition in reference to the Anambra Homeland Security law. The shrine belonging to Akwoko was demolished, but that was demolished after the court had found him guilty. Now, in this case, we have at hand now, that matter did not go to court. Rather, what happened was that Udogachi operatives went there on Saturday, made some discoveries, confiscated the evidence, and returned on Sunday to demolish that very structure. Now, from this video we played this very morning, you could fathom that the original owner of the building was not the one who used it for illicit activities. Perhaps, if that case had gone to court, in the course of prosecution, that would have been determined. Now, the question is, should the executive be the interpreter of the law? Should they be the judge in their own case? Is it not better that when you suspect that a building is being used for illicit activities, take your evidence to court, let the court give a judgment, then with judgment you can then go ahead to demolish? Because in our legal system, even if you catch a thief red-handed in the act, he's still presumed to be innocent until proven guilty by the court. So I think what the man is contesting is, why didn't we go to court, let the court make the pronouncement before he can come to demolish the building?
I will actually answer this.
That was the first question I asked you as well.
Okay, yeah, maybe. Yeah, I was actually maybe overlooked it, or probably. I remember, let's go by history and come back to this very law.
We need to be snappy about it.
Because we want to make people to understand this. I remember in 2012, the then governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, led a team to demolish two buildings, one-story building with penthouse and a bungalow belonging to a suspected kidnapping kingpin, Emeka Ezekude. Remember, he was referred to as Emeka Ezekwe. The structures immediately were pulled down because they were linked to kidnapping activities or May prima facie. Then the same happened in Orifite Pusigo, where he supervised the demolition of building in Ifite. Remember, Orifite belonging to another suspected kidnapper. In 2013, the one that provoked the controversy that lingered in courts. Obi personally supervised the demolition of Upper Class Hotel, a 3-story building at I think number 8 Old Market Road on Nature, owned by Bonaventure Mokwe, which lingered. We saw the trial, and the hotel was alleged to have been used for or linked to kidnapping activities. But this case, remember, was controversial in every sense because the owner was claiming, based on unverified allegation and vendetta, that nothing was discovered in this hotel. He was not querying the demolition, but he was saying that they should make open what was discovered before the demolition. And it was a trial that went a very long time in court, but the court discovered that there was no evidence that showed that something was recovered. Now, coming back to the issue of Homeland Security law, you asked, because I wouldn't forget that. The Anambra State Homeland Security law does not strictly require a full court trial before forfeiture and demolition in all cases. Not in all cases.
Is that what the Constitution says?
I'm talking about the law. You can context the law in line with the Constitution. I'm just talking about the law. I can even come back to the Constitution. Okay. We are talking about the Homeland Security law. Now, if you look at section 15 and 16 of the law, states that any building or property used for kidnapping and banditry or illicit drugs shall be forfeited to the state government. You didn't hear anything upon conviction, but they said shall. That was the word. And shall has a commanding tone. Shall be forfeited, and the law empowers the government and security agencies like even the Akune Chamber to act based on investigation and evidence of use in crime. The law empowers them to act based on investigation and evidence of use in crime. Forfeiture can occur through executive action, especially in urgent security cases, because these are security related. And when you are dealing with a law that is security related, because they know that going to court and all that would even not serve the interest of the people. Most times we have this kind of law, they are usually tilted to security related. But outside security related threats, because some people will tell you that was the time of Buhari made this very statement, and I disagree with Buhari as a president, that the national security overrides the rule of law. Remember when he made that very statement, and even the NBA said no, it cannot. But Trump made similar statement. National security overrides rule of law. But now coming back to your question, under rule of law, because if you talk about this Homeland Security law, it gave the security agencies to act based on evidence and investigation evidence. Act immediately.
And so what would you say to arguments that this actually affects the fundamental right to ownership of property, and that provision that Emma Kaya read cannot be executed without a judicial order because there are ingredients of crime, and that building in its own is an ingredient of crime, and therefore only the court should actually deem or decide guilt or not and pronounce punishment.
You are referring to under our rule of law legal system, but if you are to judge by this act,
we should take precedence. We should supersede.
Remember,
the Constitution should actually come before this.
If you look at the Constitution has given the State House of Assemblies powers to make laws for the good government of the people. And if you go by the provision of section 6 or thereabout, invested the judicial powers on court interpreting the laws. This man has the right to sue the state government. He has right to seek redress, and if he feels that what the state government did is wrong. Remember, there were times, I think this question has come before, and I answered it. When government discovers that probably you did not follow right procedure and this and that, has government power to pull down your building, I said yes, we can did it. He did it in River State. He pulled down structures that were not in accordance with the state government fiscal planning. And those who went to court to challenge him, they lost. the court interpreted that he has such powers to bring down those buildings. The truth remains, and this has to do with security. And most times, our laws empowers the chief executives in matters related to security, because it's being viewed to be in the interest of the people. While you are doing the trial and all that, the threat has not even disappeared. You must deal with the threat it poses to the society, the danger it poses to the society. That it can be challenged. If this man in court, in any way, and the court deems that the government went overboard, acted wrongly, he will be compensated. Court will demand full compensation, where you will be paid every dime lost. He has rights to approach this matter to the court. But if you judge by the law they acted on, the law expressly gave the state government the impetus to act based on evidence.
So, Tony, do you think that if anybody decides to go to court to challenge that provision of the Anambra Homeland Security Law, it's going to stand the test of time? Because if you look at the characteristics of law, or if you want to look at the character of a law, one is clarity and certainty. You have second one as fairness and justice. And when you talk about fairness and justice, it simply means whoever that is being accused must be given the opportunity to prove that he is guilty or not. You talk about public interest, which is the common good. You talk about the enforceability. You talk about flexibility, right protection, acceptability, sanctions, stability, and what have you. These are the characters or qualities of a good law. And then we have this very case in point. You mentioned the upper class hotel incident. Of course, do you know that the owner of the hotel at some point in time secured judgment against Peter Obi?
Yeah, of course.
And court asked Obi to pay him, because from what the court found out, that whatever that was found there was planted, if anything was found. In fact, maybe on a very good day we can talk to the manager of that.
Of course, he's always everywhere.
So the thing is this: what we're looking at is the provision is right there in that very law, no question about it. But if we're going to test the suitability of that provision in that law in respect to the principles of fair hearing in 1999 Constitution, can that stand?
Thank you.
Because if you are going to go and pull down a structure used for illicit activities, of course, people are going to support that as it's part of fighting crime. But for what law is fairness? Can this stand before
Let's take a
scrutiny?
break now. Let's take a break quickly.
Right.
Attend to some commercials. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
Na nkwado amụma ezi erimihe na ọnọdụ ahụike Healthy Living Initiative nke ha Excellency Dr. Mrs. Nonye Soludo, nwunye Akanachi Anambra State, otu akpọrọ Affirmation Movement, jewere wee na-agwa onye ọbụla na ọ dị ezigbo mkpa ịkwalite ọnọdụ ahụike na ezi erimihe anyị, na-eri nri arụ chọrọ otu na mgbe o kwesịrị, na-aṅụkwa mmiri nke ọma, ma gbaa mbọ na-anwachapụta arụ gị oge niile, ịkwalite ọnọdụ ụbụrụ nakwa ọnọdụ ahụike gị bụ onye ọrụ oyibo, onye na-azụ ahịa, nne na nna, okenye na nwata, gbaa mbọ na-aga n'ụlọ ọgwụ inwe nlekọta, ịmata ka ọnọdụ siri gbatakwuru nye ọnọdụ ahụike gị. Otu Affirmation Movement na-akwado Healthy Living with Nonye Soludo. Onye binyere aka n'ọkwa bụ Honorable Afamefuna Eze Nwafọ, Affirmation, onye ndu Affirmation Movement Worldwide.
Onitsha ndị nwe ahịa, nke a bụ ụzọ anyị si asị unu daalụ maka ọmarịcha otu afọ nke nzikọrịta ozi Udala Radio dị otu afọ n'ọnwa Maachị a. N'ọnwa Maachị a niile, Udala nwere onyinye pụrụ iche maka ịgba afọ ọhụrụ a. Ịzụta advert slot abụọ, inwe otu mgbakwunye onyinye n'efu. Ịnụrụ nke ọma, ohere nke mgbasa ozi ahịa, ozi ọbụla maọbụ nke program, ịkwụ ụgwọ, nweta ohere abụọ, anyị agbakwunyere gị otu. Nke a bụ ohere ị nwere ime ka ndị Ọnịcha na obodo ndị ọzọ nụ ma mara maka ahịa gị. Gbata ọsọ ozugbo n'ihi ohere ọ pụrụ iche a malitere ugbu a ma bụrụ nke ga-abịa n'isi njedebe n'ụbọchị nke 31 n'ọnwa Maachị nke afọ a, n'ọnwa mgbakwunye afọ Udala. Maka ndebanya na ajụjụ, kpọọ anyị na 0803 350 4206 maọbụ ịbịa n'ụlọ ọrụ anyị dị n'Ọnịcha na number 5 Okono Street n'okirikiri DMGS roundabout. Nya bụ inwe ike ịkpọ anyị na 08033504206 maọbụ ịbịa n'ụlọ ọrụ anyị na number 5 Okono Street n'okirikiri DMGS roundabout Onitsha. Udala Radio emeela otu afọ n'ọnwa Maachị a. Ọkpọkọpi n'ezie.
Onitsha Clacket! Have you heard? The Onitsha Easter shut down. From Easter Sunday to Easter Tuesday, come with your family, your friends, your loved ones. Get ready for an unforgettable experience. Live on stage, we have Savio Motu, Igwegu Afamobo Otobo Jr., Odumeje MC, Flavor Notutwa, MC Eto G, Pretty Diamond, Varsity Band, DJ Pedro, Ojaweli Bonine, Bonade, Awelugo, Mr. K, Ogenobad, Hype Man Bonto Smart, Arab 6, Philinex to the Wall, DJ Bookers, and many more. Enjoy beautiful vibes, meet amazing people, connect, games, Dorime show, sexy dancers, action movies, delicious meals, chilled drinks, and non-stop entertainment. The venue is the Chima Primary School Field, Oko Road, Onitsha. Do not miss it. It is going to be massive.
Here is a special invitation. Oluchukwu Microfinance Bank Limited Onitsha warmly invites you to our Customers Forum 2026. The theme is savings culture a necessity for business stability. Date is 1st April 2026. Time is 10 a.m. prompt. Venue is the Madonna Parish, Nobi. For inquiries, you can call the phone line 07038912082. The number again 07038912082.
I want to hear know the latest where they happen. Better pour open, don't enter for town. You want to upgrade your car, it day in town. For motorway get accident, you go make and tantam. Our integrity stand first in everything we do, and we deliver what we do. This not the latest update when I get for you. If your motor small and you want to fix some more, if you want to repair some motor, open the run no more. If I'm a financial, go manaka, and you put your tolokas, they go power off Nanyoba. Maybe I'm a gay or the tam can keep it off. You repent motor, motor will accident. You tell the local power off. I know to not have a motor number or babu. Officer, Otolokas bus stop along Ower Road. For more inquiry, why not a 090-1100-2200. Angelo Tolo Obama.
Quality bread, Wendy's bread. For your family breakfast, Wendy's bread. Opa chicken they toast yellow, Wendy's bread. Mama, papa they like Wendy's bread. Chicken and do Wendy's bread. Even children they like Wendy's bread. Wendy's bread. Wendy's bread. Get it better, tasty we go sweet your belly. Wendy's bread. Wendy's your chichona. Wendy's bread.
Wendy's bread, tasty bread. You can contact us on our official address, Second Business Park, Enugu Road, GRA, beside Samisha, Anambra State. We also have another branch at St. Michael Plaza at Tand Road. Also contact us on 070-1149-1571. Wendy's bread, your tasty bread.
Wendy's bread.
Onitsha, una done ready for the biggest Easter shutdown. Golden Promise Entertainment presents Easter Golden Fiesta. One massive night of music, comedy, and correct vibes. It happens Sunday, April 12, 2026 from 5 p.m. till dawn for Onitsha Mall ShopRite. Host for the night, MC Bim and MC Feargod. Music policy by Emmy Black, Ivado, and Sparkle T. Laughter with comedians like Twin Parrots, Prince Neche, 5 Naira, Dibia Update, Holy Baba and Sister Equitos, plus live performances from Mweze and CJ Ozugo, and DJs who go keep the party hot all night. DJ Staffy, DJ Y Barrel, DJ Two Step, DJ Tony Banks, DJ Freezy, and DJ NK. Tickets to go fast. Regular 2,000 naira, VIP 5,000 naira, VVIP table for 5, 200,000 naira. For sponsorship, bookings, and enquiries, call 0814-394-2802 or 0808-441-5156. Easter Golden Fiesta, the party we on nature go talk about. Supported by Udala Radio 104.7 FM.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM. You're listening to The Polity. Get involved now.
So quickly, let's go over to political matters before we open up the phone lines. We have about 33 minutes before the end of the show today.
We did not address the question. I think there was a question on Grant before we went for the break, and
okay,
then we are back.
Tony,
let's quickly address the story.
We are almost out of
because
time.
we have to really, ensure that people understand what we are talking about.
Right,
the issue is this: is the law be deemed to have contradicted Section 36 of the Constitution and also Section 44 of the Constitution? Because Section 36 of the Constitution is talking about fair hearing. That's what Section 36 of the 1999 Constitution is talking about. Whether you demolish or the forfeiture without giving the owner adequate notice or an opportunity to be heard, can it be seen as a breach? And also issue of right to property, like arbitrary deprivation of property without due process. That's Section 44. If you are to challenge Anambra Homeland Security Law 2025 in court, it will be anchored on if the Section 15 and Section 16 of that law contravene Section 36 and Section 44 of the Constitution. But if you are also putting it before a judiciary for interpretation, you should also understand that Section 45 of the Constitution also gives the state power to make any law that this deprivation you are seeing, fair hearing, and then that of deprivation, maybe the house, if it is in interest of the state. That's the only thing, most of them, why they make this kind of law, because of Section 45. And if you quickly read Section 45, because all these sections grant right to Nigerians, freedom of this, freedom of that, but Section 45 says that all this freedom you have can as well be taken if that law is made in the overriding interest of the public. If there is a law, yes, you have all this freedom of fair hearing, freedom of this, freedom of that, you have all this freedom. Section 45 says this freedom can be taken away from you through a law that is made in the interest of the public. So I would want such testation where this can be taken to court. Let the court interpret Section 36, Section 44, and also Section 45, which allows most state government to make such laws if it is in overriding interest of the state, and also the one that says you cannot deny somebody the freedom of fair hearing and also freedom of having properties if it is not in accordance with the court processes.
All right then, Tony, over the weekend we had a PDP convention, the Wike block actually, and now they have a new national working committee. We have the likes of Anyanwu and having to take hold of key positions, the same offices that have caused the problem before now. And so the question now is around the leadership now of the PDP. Are we having two factions with two different leaderships? Because we're not forgetting that there is still a leader of a faction in the person of Turaki. Okay? And also, we're looking at the legal standing this Wike faction has to have what they now have, and where that is going to be leaving the PDP as we progress into 2027. And also, quickly, we understand that Rabiu Kwankwaso has left the NNPP, happened over the weekend, and he's set to join the ADC. Are you optimistic of an Obi Kwankwaso alliance?
Well, that is what is being put in brackets. What is being seen, even there is this unwritten agreement between Obi and Kwankwaso. Both of them, one would be the president or the presidential candidate, the other one will be the running mate. And that's why their primary is coming up on April 14th. ADC primaries, national they are what do you call it? I think convention where the issue of what do you call it? Who is going to be this? Who's going to be? I think it's coming on April 14th. Their national convention. We saw PDP, just as you said, on May 29. That was yesterday, and we saw APC before then on March 27. APC March 27, PDP March 29, ADC will be on April 14th. So we're gonna see all these things. Yes, the Pankwasia movement, they are jubilant, believing that it will work. But you have Atiku, who is also in the whole process. They have Atiku to contend with. But if they do their primary election where every member of the party will vote, if the Kwankwasia and Obedient, because Kwankwasia has a structure. I mean, Kwankwasia is a structure already. The movement is a structure already, but it's limited in Kano and part of Kaduna State. You have Obedient. Obedient is also a structure on its own. If both of them, the way they make their noise on social media, if they can translate it into being a member of their party and also voting, it will be sell. Well, for what happened yesterday at Mushood Abiola Stadium in Abuja, many people have been talking about it. Supreme Court will have it to settle because the matter is before the Supreme Court. Wike has done what he has done. I listened to Fayoche, everybody is chanting Wike, the national leader. And he is the national leader of his faction. And the person who is the national leader calls the shots. Anybody who is a national leader of any political party calls the shots. Remember Kwankwaso that left NNPP? He was the national leader before he left. So he was the one calling the shots. And anybody who is the national leader calls a shot in any political party. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the national leader of APC. But now, we don't know who is the national leader of ADC. ADC has no national leader because they have national leaders. As we have them, because they are not in power yet. By the time they get to power, we'll understand. The point is, 2027 is drawing very close. And I'm going to see if Wike eventually triumph at the Supreme Court. They will adopt President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as their candidate. The PDP faction of Wike, that's the plan. They will adopt President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as their candidate. ABGA will adopt President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as their candidate. ADC, from APC, we have Bola Tinubu as a candidate. And there are many other parties. Many of these political parties, half of them will adopt President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as their candidate. Half of them will adopt. We are going to be left with ADC and possibly this merger or the so we're going to see how they will be able to challenge the status quo. But from Wike, he's having a field day. He funded the convention we had yesterday. He funded everything. He has so much money to spend, and it was colorful. All the national televisions beamed it live for hours. You know the cost. Look at the preparation. And I saw Natasha Akpoti Uduahan. She is a bona fide member of Wike camp. I saw the Senate minority leader, Abba Moro, bona fide member of Wike's camp. I saw some senators of PDP. They were there. Saraki was there. Sule Lamido was there. Wike has converted so many of these people to his own camp. I don't know if they are being promised any land or title in Abuja. I don't know what make them believe so much in Wike. If I see the way Akpoti was, she was the one that moved the first motion for ratification of congresses at different states and then local governments that never, or maybe their tenure had expired. She moved the move it. Mao Oghabonwa was also asking them to say aye, those in favor say aye, those against say nay, the ayes have it. You know, they were doing those things last night. And we can look at the speech that they have all run away. You look at the speech that when they see crisis, they will run away. And if you look at him, the man is even adding up. I was thinking that Wike was leaning before now. But the picture I saw yesterday, Franklin, this man is adding up. That tells you that for those who felt that he was sick, no, from the picture we saw yesterday, He's returning to his original self.
You know, what I've been asking about this very wicked faction is this. From what we gathered yesterday, INEC officials were there to observe the so-called convention. And the question has been, on what ground is wicked faction going on to have its activities? Because based on the last judgment of the court we know about, the appeal court judgment, the appeal court nullified the convention which PDP held last year in Ibadan, meaning that there was no leadership of the party. And if we are going to talk about going back to status quo, that means the executive or the NWC that was there before the Turaki faction produced NWC perhaps could be what is in place. But you now have wicked faction which is going ahead to have convention. If INEC has an event, it is invited, it's sit there for PDP. So I'm just wondering why it seems like illegality is enabling legality and is thriving, even to the point of INEC observing the convention. So does that suggest that the outcome of the case at Supreme Court is like almost predetermined?
The truth remains that Wike felt that the window is open for them. The appeal court nullified the Ibadan convention, citing that the state congresses were not held, that how can you have convention without having, how can you have a national convention without having state congresses and world congresses, as we, local government congresses as we saw, and many irregularities. What we can try to do this time around to make sure that those irregularities the appeal court cited, even the federal high court cited, we are perfected. They ensure that those irregularities were not to be repeated. And this time around, they have done their own, and it's going to be tested in court. If court nullified the one it nullified, owing to irregularities, and we can now correct those irregularities. The court did not talk about who was conducting it. They did not talk about it because they felt it's an internal affair of the party. But everything must be done in line with the constitution of the party. And some of the things that the Ibadan Convention had was not in line with the constitution of the party. But the truth remains that Wike has no legal ground.
Because
he has no legal ground.
If you're going to have a convention, there is a legal body that convenes a convention. So was there a valid legal body to have convened the convention that they had in Abuja?
The truth remains that INEC was recognizing Wike faction already. And for such recognition, they felt that it is legitimate for them to convene a convention. You begin to ask, why did INEC recognize Wike's faction in the first instance? Why? On what ground? On what legal ground? There's for me, no legal ground for such recognition. And for the fact you've given them recognition, why wouldn't they go on and conduct the national convention?
Okay.
But based on law, they don't have grounds, but they have done it. It can be tested in court, just like we said in the case of the demolition that happened in Anambra State. It can be tested in court. It's not about this. My own is to state out what the law says,
right, Tony,
and test that in court. It's not about supporting anybody.
We're looking forward. We are going to see if Turaki's faction is going to test this in court.
Exactly.
Also, ADC is going to be having a consensus candidate in 2027. Do you see this going the way of the South?
Well, remember some
especially
of them,
with Kwankwaso now
yes,
joining them.
There is a problem because there is this group or many groups within ADC that believe that ADC must zone its presidential ticket to South, and many of them have been threatening fire and brimstone. I don't know if it will disintegrate ADC. But
isn't that the smartest thing for them to do?
If you ask, many of them have interest, and they have said many times that they are going to throw it open. They have repeated it many times that their ticket will be open, that it's going to be determined by
the primaries?
The primaries, and it will be done transparently. But for those who believe that Obi may not have the chance if it is done that way, the truth remains that the indirect primaries, which has been the issue with Obi, where he doesn't like spending, he doesn't like giving delegates $1,000, $2,000 for them to vote for him during national primaries or such a primary. Now it has been removed. Now we are a member of the party. If you are registered online, you can, and it can be done electronically. The primaries of ADC can be done electronically, and it can be only be accessible to those who are well or bona fide registered members of the party. So it gives them that momentum. It's not going to be dollarized again. There's no dollarization.
Hopefully,
but
because wire transfers are still a thing.
Yeah, but let's see how it's going to maybe happen. But they still have a challenge because somebody is contesting
quickly on that.
The national chairmanship of the party. Yes, because I have said it the last time. And the matter is before, I think, appeal court as we speak now. And the Mark did what he did. He wanted to double cross, but the appeal court told him, no, go back. So it's another thing. And there people are saying that probably the judiciary is under state capture. How true that is, but we are suspecting that. So we can just say we are, based on what things that we've been seeing and things that have been happening, we keep suspecting that is judiciary under state capture. But there are many people that will tell you yes. But the truth remains that we'll see how these things will be tested at the appropriate time, either in court, and we'll see the pronouncement of the courts.
You're right then, 0803-221-6973, 0803-827-6694 are the numbers to call to be part of the show today. Do us a favor, turn down the volume on your radio set before putting a call across, and make sure to go straight to the point and be as objective as possible. The numbers again are 0803-221-6973, 0803-827-6694. Good morning.
Good morning, Chisom.
Good morning.
Good morning, my chief speaker, Tony Olitambeki.
You're welcome. It's good to have you.
Yes, the voice of Honorable is the mayor, Okume. Can I go on?
You have a minute.
Yes, let me just go straight. Tony Olitambeki, I see what is happening, like I told you the other day, that the only way that P2B or any other party will challenge Tinubu is by either P2B Kwankwasia, then other big wigs will support them. That is the only way to defeat APC. But you said something that I don't understand by saying that APC is the Tinubu definitely will make headway apart from other parties, that other parties will support him apart from this ADC. So I want to ask, what is the secret that will make them, all those parties that you mentioned, to support him? Does it mean that Tinubu is doing well? Or does it mean that Tinubu will buy all of the parties? I can't understand. I want you to explain that statement. Thank you.
All right then, Tony, you would hold on to that and explain towards the end. Good morning. Try to reconnect. Good morning.
Good morning to everyone on the street of my voice this morning.
Good morning.
I am Honorable Odichichi and I'm calling from Tere this morning.
Go ahead.
The problem we have in this country is so much that I don't even know where to start. The high-handedness, especially in the part of our security agencies, is alarming, and this is what gave birth to NSAS. And now it have even tripled. What we experienced during NSAS is have even tripled. The intimidation and what have you. Okay, you hear arrest upon arrest, intimidation upon intimidation. Before you know it, fell out. All these are all money that they are chasing after, not even the sanity, not even to sanitize the system. They will bust your house, say that they have discovered, they have recovered this and that, without evidence. Before you know it, 200,000, 300,000, they're out. Let me remind you that last time, I think about 2 months ago, if I'm still correct, when Napsi bust into a hotel in territory here, we are all jubilating. Many were arrested, they were paraded, but let me tell you, they were all released under 1 week. I'm telling you, and the truth and nothing but the truth. You can come to territory here and verify. They have all returned back to their duty post, doing the same thing that made them to be arrested at the initial stage. Money, hunger in the part of our security agency, the problem we're having here. It is not just arresting people. What is the process of prosecution? Thank you.
All right then. Let's hear you. 0803-221-6973. Hello there.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Basil. We're calling from Onitsha.
Go ahead, Basil.
Let me speak on the issue of confession of confession.
Go ahead.
EPDC and the ADC is coming up. Nobody is talking about the killing. The killing is was just undoubtedly that people don't know how to talk about it. For something people have been now that killed, to see them and nobody is talking about it. We are not talking about the convention, arrest of them with the blood of innocent Nigerians. With the blood of innocent Nigerians, and Nigeria keep on talking about 2027. If everybody died before 2027, who are you going to? People are crying. Children are dying. Mothers are dying. Fathers are dying. Everybody is dying in Nigeria, and we keep on talking. And today, all the media today, I have not seen anywhere them announce this kind of killing. Everything, all the media is today is all about convention, PDP, APC, everything. And this is it's happening that people are dying and people are doing other things as if these people are not human beings. It's very bad. This country is going down every day. Thank you.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Jason, Dr. Zambiki and the Franklin.
You're welcome.
Very good morning to you. Yeah, Chidi Chukuma, calling from Bo. Let me speak on this issue of the pulling down of particular hotel and so on. We are talking about the law. If a state wants to make law, even though that they are given such a right to make law, the National Assembly, the State Assembly also are given the same right to make law. And everything must be in tandem with the supreme law. Because if any law is inconsistent with the supreme law, that law can never stand. That law can never stand back on. So those laws that we are talking about, you see a whole lot of contradictions in this. The issue of presumption of innocence is not there. How can we know whether there is a conspiracy over that? Because we have seen it here in Anambra State, where a particular hotel or building was pulled down because of such allegations. Somebody brought even a corpse into that place to make sure that they destroy somebody's effort. And then now, there was another one came up when people talk about so many graves at a particular time. They talk about graves, even on top of the building and so on and so forth. Even up to now, there is no proof of such. And they have come up again to accuse people. How can you do such an extrajudicial judgment on the people? It is not good at all. Those law can never stand. Even the traders law that we, the other time I had people arguing on that. Very obnoxious one. Very draconian one. And the people, I don't know whether they have a lawyer in that our state. Our state, I don't know whether we have lawyer here. How can you be coming up with such?
You should be round enough.
The principle of audio therapy must be maintained. You must hear from other people, because even if you see women, how do you call them? Is there any place that is written that those women are prostitutes? And also the dog itself, how did they come into that place? You know, without going to court to find out the truth. And that is why it is important. If you arrest people, you have right to arrest, but you must do yourself a favor to take them to court for trial. You just can't come up and start pulling people say something. We have enemies everywhere.
Thank you very
so
much.
We can't continue with such a law.
All right, thank you very much. I have to let you go. Remember, stick to 1 minute. Good morning.
Good morning. This is Amchinadu.
Good morning.
And Tony Lisambeki is Frank.
You're welcome.
My name is Mario Keshuka, calling from Onitsha.
You're welcome.
Well, the world displayed Jamboree, Mika and his gang. Because for me, what they did is not any convention, because I didn't see any law that forbid them that to do so. In Nigerian Constitution, we are very much aware. If it is not an acting chairman of a political party, it must be a chairman that will call for the convention. So I don't know any chairman or whatever sole power that gave anybody power to organize that kind of convention. So to me, it's a jamboree. And we can know that. That is why he was begging they should stop that case in appeal court. They should not go to Supreme Court. If they go to Supreme Court, the Supreme Court will tell them the truth. But only that they will use propaganda to drive it after this period of electioneering, that is when the Supreme Court will give the judgment. That is why we Nigerian judiciary normally do. They know the truth, but they will not give you that truth when it is necessary. It is when it is late, that is when we see the truth. So we can know that whatever they are doing there is a jamboree, and I wonder how can that huge amount of money be spent on that kind of jamboree that makes no sense. Well, to me, anybody can believe what they are believing, but I want to tell Nigerians, both ADC, PDP led by Turaki, and the Labour Party, if you don't have any passion in you, don't listen to all those nonsense distractions. Go on with your election so that we give the incumbent president a good run. Thank you very much.
All right, then let's head over to Facebook, Frank.
Okay, so let me see how many of them we can accommodate. Ikechukwu says, I stay at Oka Road, but I'm from Ozobolo, one of the biggest towns in Anambra State. Okay, he said, Tony, I asked you a question on your DM. Okay, he wants you to respond to it. Question he gave to you. Then, okay, Emperado Mwachi says, we can't be clapping for the government even when they act outside the rule of law. The motive might be good, but the way of executing the motive must be seen to be fair. Then Anyaji Gabriel says, the obedient are not noisemakers as you will always take them to be. The social media is a public space that every other party, including APC, APGA, also make use of. Besides, in 2023, this same propaganda never turned out to anything near reality. Okay. Dr. Missimo Liberer from Owerri says, may our leaders use this period of Holy Week to reflect on the situation of the common man and the jobless youths. In the life of any nation, there comes crucial moments leaders take decisive actions aimed at salvaging their people from impending disaster. Let them take actions that will raise Nigeria higher than its status of a nation endemic with corruption. And Emperado Wachimereza says, on the demolition that happened in Oka, I wonder how and why the executive now become the judiciary in this case. The way they hurriedly demolished the building just a day after the raid is suspicious and might be tagged as political witch hunt. The Anambra State government should stop playing God in every situation. The court says this for cases like this. You can't pronounce judgment on a case, you are the prosecutor. And he posted from Abba. Chimeze Steven says he posted from Obosi. Government should. I'm trying to get it. Okay. Government should make driving a compulsory course from SS1 to SS3. It's an important skill that will equip the citizens of the nation and reduce road accidents. Ministry of Education should partner with road safety. And Rotrat Obiawike Christopher from College of Education in Suba says, blame most of the road accidents on government agencies, starting from road safety, police and court. They refuse to do their work like it has been done in other countries. Law is made to correct people's mindset and not for extortion. It is the law that will checkmate our overspeeding, drink and drive and other offenses. If the law is working, such offenses must be taken care of. In Nigeria, people will not act right without fearing the law. And Ike Chukwu says, I believe the ADC has what it takes to take over from the fumbling government of Tinubu. Finally, we need God's help or else the suffering will continue. And I think for now we have to rest this case now so that we'll be able to summarize. Oson Dozonna, thank you. Chinagoron Favor, Gregory Tadeus, thank you. Ikechi Okereke, Godwin Chikwado, thank you all for the post you made.
All right then, Tony, the question I asked you to hold on to, would you answer him now when he was talking about the law and
all right, you will help us do the analysis now. Please read this very section of the law, section 36 of the Constitution, subsection, just a quick one, section 36, subsection 1. And I will give you another.
Section 36, subsection 1, in the determination of his civil rights and obligations, including any question or determination by or against any government or authority, a person shall be entitled to a fair hearing within a reasonable time by a court or other tribunal established by law and constituted in such manner as to secure its independence and impartiality.
So the focal point there is fair hearing. Now read section 45 because definitely if you tell our people some of these things, they will take sides and say that you don't know what you are talking about. Read section 45.
Okay, section 45, there is 1A, B, 2,
Just
which of them?
Begin from there.
Nothing in section 37, 38, 30. Well, what I read earlier, was 36?
It was 36.
Yeah.
Go on.
Nothing in sections 37 to 41 of this constitution shall invalidate any law that is reasonably justifiable in a democratic society. Well, that was section 36.
Now, that section 36, bring it, because I want you just to refer to some of the section. It's talking about fair hearing when a matter is already in court. I don't know if you know what I'm saying. When a matter is already in court. And if you look around, in the past, I cited past examples here. Different governors of Anambra State have done one demolitions or the other. Obi did. Willie Obiano did. And of course,
does that make it right? I think that is the question.
The question is, does the law they acted on give them such power? The law they acted on gave them such power. And if you talk about the law making, if you look at the section 37, in fact, section 36 is not even seen deemed to be freedom. It's talking about if a matter is before a court, give somebody time. But we are not in court already. It's not about trying to clap for something. I'm just trying to tell you, you are law.
Tony, we are totally out of time. Tomorrow this can continue.
Yes, but I'm just trying to tell people, this is your law.
Okay,
final
words.
Okay. This is this, because for me, I do not believe that because Mr. A has done it in the past.
Yeah, that's just right.
And that justifies it.
I
don't believe that. Yes, there is a law that specifies such. But what I'm saying is that any law that does not guarantee fair hearing to the accused,
justice
cannot stand the test of time.
Everybody, another thing I'm saying is this: the way the man building was demolished. The next is prosecution. Do you think after demolition he'll be allowed to go scot-free? Nah. What? It's just the first act.
Then prosecution should have come before demolition.
The law says they can demolish based on evidence.
That's
okay, let's take down the curtain.
Why
tomorrow
because
is another
definitely
day.
Yes, the man will be charged.
Tomorrow is another day.
So he can raise those arguments in the court.
All right then, 9:15 down to 11 a.m. Tomorrow, the Polity would be making a return. Thank you, Tony. Franklin, you have your final words already, and I'll see you guys at 12:25 on the Cherry Box. I am Chisom Chinedu. It's still Udala Radio 104.7 FM.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM.